Greetings and salutations. We are back once again with some more One Talent Challenge. And we're going to try to get to Andariel and proceed into Act 2. Now, I just got a clip. I just saved it. It's on my, if I could just remember, it was on my stream. It was of my longest grenade snipe with a grenade launcher. And it was on my send-off stream for Modern Warfare 3. So it's not too old of a clip, but I want to import it as a YouTube short. There's a bit of a problem, though. I don't know how. I'm not what you would call technically adept at things like this. I'm really not. In fact, it's quite the opposite. When it comes to, doing things on YouTube, I'm a complete and utter dunderhead, to be perfectly honest. Mostly because I grew up before the internet existed, and then when the internet actually did come around, I grew up before YouTube existed, and then when YouTube came around, yeah, you can see where I'm going with this. So, nevertheless, I don't know how to go about doing it. So I might have to call in a favor and have somebody help me out and do it. And I know exactly who to talk to. It's my friend Dylan. But he might be busy. Too busy, as a matter of fact. He's been grinding a lot of the prestige on Black Ops. I have to go get my merc. So if you leave your mercenary dead too long, they don't get experience, and then you've got a whole new set of problems on your hand. However, I'll have to talk to Dylan and see if he can help me get that up as a YouTube short. Now, I happen to think it was quite a funny happenstance, to be honest with you, when it occurred. Okay, I didn't want him to die. And I don't want to get too close to it, because as you can see, it's magic resistant, stone skin, cold enchanted. And when he went boom, he about killed my mercenary again. But no, I haven't had the chance to really prestige anything in Call of Duty Black Ops 6. And partially because I want to create random stuff on my channel. You know, I mean, I don't like being, a one note individual. Yeah, those are immune to fire, so that doesn't do any good. Oh, and there's like 3 of them. So he's dead. Gloom Drool. Interesting. Ow. Interesting name. Ow. Wow. That was quite the combat there. Oh, yeah, Scarab Husk is that awful armor right there. It's just leather armor, but it's terrible. One of the things I don't like doing is I don't like I said earlier, I don't like being like a one-note individual. I like to have quite a bit of variety, and I want to put more variety on the channel. But I don't want to go too far off into the weeds on the variety, because if you go too far with the variety, you end up kind of falling into this niche of being, as they would say, a variety YouTuber, and then everybody expects, you know, hundreds of different varieties, or some sort of variety all the time, and eventually you just run out of variety. You'll get to the point where some people just don't like what you put out, and that's fine. It's each person has their own proclivities for sure. And I prefer that people enjoy the content that goes up. And it's like I said, if you don't like it, let me know. I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to hearing what people have to say. I'm a fairly open-minded individual when it comes to having a creative outlet and a creative avenue. I mean, I don't want it to... Ow! That was painful. I don't want to seem like I'm completely shut off from the world, or... Actually, I do need to put it into dexterity, I think. There we go. I don't want it to seem like I'm, shut off from the world and, got a holier-than-thou attitude, because I don't. It's like, I prefer, people give me, bits and pieces here and there and say, hey, how about you try this? Okay, well, I'll give it a shot. I'm not going to be one to turn it down just because, I don't like it. I'm not a fan of certain genres, like the Dark Souls series, but, I guess given the right conditions, I would even consider it. Obviously, money is a different issue. I'm monetarily strapped at the moment. But who isn't this time of year? I mean, November, December, everybody is, because you're getting into, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and you gotta buy Christmas gifts, and you got, other bills and everything to pay. So, of course, I'm going to be financially strapped this time of year. So, when it comes to, like, games and the like, trying a new game, if I have it, I will play it and put it up on the channel. Though some of the other stuff I've done is not well received. This is pretty well received. I mean, people seem to like this, and I think the reason why they tune into it is they want to see me die. Then again, you also had that part of the, group of people that want to see me succeed and are sitting there thinking, how's this guy doing this with 3 talents? And to be fair, I picked one of the easiest, groups of people to do it with. And that would be a druid. Though, to be honest with you, another easy class to do it with is Amazon, oddly enough. In fact, Amazons are quite easy. Because all you need is, like, lifesteal, someone to stand in front of you and pick up, mobs that charge at you or something. So, like an Act 5 Merc or an Act 1 Merc, doesn't really matter. Or not Act 1, Act 2. And if you need different elemental damage, not that you would, because you're gonna end up using, like, Magic Arrow through most of your playthrough. You don't have to worry about, like, ammunition. You don't have to worry about much of anything as an Amazon. So Amazon's pretty easy. Sorceresses are pretty difficult. And I might try one of them later. But, I mean, I sit down and I really think about it. And, like, I look at the viewer metrics. This series is well received. The Bewillet Snipe series is rather well received. And it's kind of interesting that the series that people seem to like and gravitate to are, like, challenges. Now, I'm not one to do certain challenges like, the 1 block challenge in Minecraft or anything like that. I'm not one to do that. That's not me. And the reason that's not me is it's just, I don't know. Minecraft loses its luster. Like, you build big projects, and unless you have someone there to really admire it or to see the progress as it goes along, it kind of loses its, that sheen it has. That's like, Ben Crenshaw said on Zero Punctuation. He said, Minecraft's a lot like owning a model railroad. When you find other model railroad enthusiasts, they take a look at what you've done and they are really just taken by it and they think it's wonderful. However, if you don't find model rail enthusiasts, people just kind of look at you like, what are you wasting all your time on? And he's very true. What he said, there's no lie detected there, you know? And it's kind of a sad state, if you think about it, right? That the entire worth of a genre of games is whatever mods you can have with it, and if the mods that you play with are liked by others. I mean, unless you built your entire empire on Minecraft back when it was new, you're kind of underwater. I mean, that's just me. And you got other people that they go into another thing and they try to sell product or they try to pander to people. And I don't like that, right? I personally don't like that. And people would say, okay, well, what if a company came up to you for an endorsement? Like, they wanted you to endorse a product, or they wanted you to not really endorse a product, but per se play a product or play, a game or play with a product. And then they would pay you, like a sponsorship, right? Now, if a company was to reach out and sponsor me, it would have to either be a product I've used, a game I've played, or they would have to hand me a demo of the product they want me to try, whether it be like a headset, mouse, something, anything, or a demo of the game, or like a copy of the game that I can play. And if I enjoy it, I will then sponsor it. I'll put the sponsorship
I can smell
up.
why this tower was abandoned.
And I know people are like, you're a small YouTuber, what are you worried about sponsorships for? Well, it's not that I'm worried about the sponsorships at all. If they show up, they show up. If they don't, they don't. What I'm talking about is... Wait a minute. Nope. I thought maybe I could put sockets in that bill and then make it into the Insight polearm. I'm still looking for a 4-socketed polearm. But I'm the type of person, I'm kind of like disguised toast in that way. I will not take a sponsorship unless I've seen the product or worked with it or whatever, because I don't want to come across as disingenuous and try to sell it to people if I'm not fully on board with it. Know what I mean? And it's an integrity thing. It's, kind of sitting there and saying, yeah, have the integrity, I want the integrity to say that that's not me, or that's not what I do. And of course, you have the detractors that always say things like, well, why does it matter? The money should matter. Well, Mother Shipton, who was a prophet, once said, "There will come a time when most heinous deed. There will come a time before most heinous deed when men will only think of greed." And that's exactly why it's like, don't think of greed. think of your integrity. I mean, yeah, people need to eat, and therefore, doing something where you can have access to a product or money because of a product. Okay, yeah, I get that. But don't sell yourself out, you know what I mean? Don't be a complete sellout. I mean, I've told people before, and I've tried to be inspirational to people. Be humble. Remember where you came from. Remember your origins. And just a lot of people don't seem to understand that. And it's like, because if you remember your origins and you remember where you came from when you started with nothing, and you remember it all, then you will know who was there for you when the times get tough. Ooh, those ghosts are immune to physical. And there goes the mercenary. Yeah, see, the Blood Clan I can't do anything about because they're immune to fire. So I have to, like, deal with them individually, which is terrible. And then I have to deal with the ghosts. Yeah, this ain't gonna work, I don't think. Nope. Absolutely won't. This is why I don't like the Dark Tower. Too much stuff you gotta deal with. Doing the tower. Absolutely not doing the tower. Because the ghosts are absolutely mulching my characters, my wolves, and the firestorms don't do enough damage, and I can't kill them any other way, so yeah, we're just gonna we're gonna be moving on here. But it's ow 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 ow. No wonder he was multiple shots. That explains a lot. Alright, this is getting a little dicey. Just a little. Just a tiny bit. But no, when you're humble and you think about where you've come from, and you really honestly put it into perspective, you realize that where you started out from, ow, oh good. Ow. Man. They are just not having it. Undead, Spectral Hit, Cold Enchanted extra fast. Man. It's insanity. Like, how fast this stuff is just, like, barreling down on everybody. Oh, a mana burn. Okay. Yeah, perfectly fine. Can't take 2 steps without finding a completely unique monster. Awesome. Erotha's Collar. I might need that for the poison damage reduced. Well, get them, dogs. Don't just stand there. Oh my god. This is just insanity. This is literally insanity. This is officially the craziest thing I've ever done. I mean, I kind of need my mercenary back, but at the same time, you know, like, what am I gonna do? And of course, it's dark in the game, so I can't see a thing. So I'm running just headlong into my death.
Flows from here.
Oh, good. I can see what I mean. This is craziness. But back to what I was saying about being humble, is when somebody is humble, they really put an emphasis on not filling their head with an ego, and that's really it. It's you know, not falling to the ego and saying, ah, yes, look at me, look at where I am, ha ha ha. And of course, you'll have a whole host of detractors that say, oh, that's just a trope. All the famous people say it, etc., and so on and so forth. And well, it's different for people to say, you know, oh, you know, so and so's a, so and so says he's being humble and everything. But you know as well as I do, they still relish in the fact of where they've gotten to. Right? And they realize what they have.
Hello.
And
Greetings.
despite what people might think, I think one of the most down-to-earth people in the entire sphere of influencers, not even influencers, can't even call them influencers. One of the most down-to-earth people in all of gaming and everything is Asmongold. And people are going to think, oh, you're just saying that, you know, because you're trying to coattail ride or anything, or name drop. No, I mean I've talked about a lot of people. You know, I've talked about people like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, so on and so forth. It's throughout the years. PewDiePie, like who doesn't know these people? You know, there's other people. There's other YouTubers like Baumi. He's German, and he used to play a lot of Dota. Don't know what he's doing now. He was gonna make his own board game, last I knew, but I don't really know the guy. I know of him. That's like Boris of Life of Boris. But you when you know these YouTubers and you see them in the space, you know them as, you know, from their creators' personas, you think to yourself, the one that's really the most down to earth is Asmon. Yeah, he lives like a slob, and yeah, he's, you know, well, you know, himself. You realize that, yeah, he lives like a slob and everything, but at the same time you realize that he's not going out there and trying to impress people with his money. He's not out there trying to be like, you know, flashing his cash and buying, you know, like Maseratis or, you know, McLarens or anything like that. He's just like, yo, yeah, you know, I live in this house and I eat Wendy's, right? And I buy $2 steaks. And you have to appreciate, at least to a degree, his simplistic lifestyle. Now, there's a lot of people out there that say, what do you mean? You know, you have to appreciate it. You don't have to appreciate it. Man lives like a slob. Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, that opinion and criticism is valid, right? And then, you know, it's... You still have to take a look at his life, the way he's living it, and say, you know what, though? He's being fiscally responsible, whereas others have not been. So... And that commitment to that lifestyle is kind of what makes him him, if that makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot of people that they don't agree with it. And they take a look at him and think that, you know, he's a terrible, you know, person to look up to. But take a look at his fiscal responsibility, right? He took what he knew, he built it into an empire, he invested in himself. Whether you agree or disagree with the man, he has his head in the right place. There's a lot of people that fall off and lose their way, and then they struggle for relevance, and relevance, which is kind of like relevant elephants. But they struggle for relevance, and you can see them flailing about. And in some cases, they fall so far as to fake medical conditions. Yeah. So, it's a world where we live in, where the people out there can sometimes lead you astray. And this is why, you know, you gotta stay humble. Because everything you have one day could be lost. Everything you've built one day could be taken away. Be destroyed. And it sounds terrible to say that. It sounds, you know, like this vile, vitriolic spew, but it's reality. It's the most real reality in front of everybody today. And that is that you know, what you have in front of you today can be gone tomorrow. And that is the fragility of life and livelihood. And of course, you know, you'll have the people that say, well, yeah, you know, with cancel culture. No, not even with cancel culture. Like, cancel culture excluded, and you still have that. You still have the fragility of life and livelihood. Because it exists. And these are the things that I've tried to tell other people. I've tried to tell them, hey, you know, you got to do this, 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 and this. Otherwise, you know, you're going to have problems. Ow. There we go. Get in the room and scatter them. I know that people are probably thinking, well, what happens about you? Like, what if I make it big? And this is going to sound like arrogance, but I already know I'm going to make it big. I already know. I've seen it. When? I don't know. Doing what? I don't know. But I've already seen it. And it begs the question, will I stay humble?
I can't carry now.
And the answer to that is a resounding yes. I will never deviate from who I am. I will never deviate from what I believe in and the convictions I hold. Now, opinions are different. If I am presented with enough information, my opinion will change. But it has to be information I can sit down and deem logical, right? Now, of course, people say, well, why does it have to be logical? Because the world runs on logic, despite what people may think. The world runs on logic. You just don't have people asking the right questions. You know, whenever you see a headline in the newspaper, for example, the first question you should always ask yourself is, who stands to gain? Nine times out of 10, if you were to ask yourself that question of who stands to gain, you will come up with exactly the party that's putting it out. And it doesn't matter if it's a political party or just a group of people. It could be just a group of, like, rebels. You know what I mean? Because there's always a who, what, where, when, why, and how. Like, who stands to gain, what are they gaining, why are they gaining it, or why are they attempting to gain it, and how is this news report going to put it in their, you know, put the ball in their court. That's the who, what, when, where, why, and how. And not all of it is clear-cut. Some of it is blurred lines. But when you look at something and you really read it, and you really dip into it, you dig in, you'll realize that the people that stand to gain are not the people you thought that were going to gain. Now people say, well, what do you mean? Well, for example, I'm going to try to come up with an example that's not overly memed / used in a conspiratorial way. I got it. I got the perfect example. Let's just use this for an example. let's say a wife takes out a double indemnity. Well, there goes my Merc again. Let's say a wife takes out a double indemnity life insurance policy on her husband. Okay? Now, husband goes off to work, and then next thing you know, husband dies while at work. Accidental, and it fulfills the double indemnity. Okay? Where are the police going to look first? They're going to look at the wife. Because she took out a life insurance policy like 2 days prior. And they're thinking, okay, she paid to bump him off, etc. Now, why would they do that? Because it's suspicious. They're right there. They're asking the same question. Who stands to gain? Well, the wife would stand to gain a sizable amount of money. So why wouldn't she? Now, how did she pull it off so that she was ensured that she got the money? That she was assured that it would go off without a hitch and that the money would end up in her pocket. And that's how they start looking into motive. See, all investigatorial things start with those questions. And it's always usually, and I do say always usually, it's always the same questions. But who stands to gain? And people say, well, that's just the suspicions.
Charcy will be thankful to get this malice.
That's just the suspicions of the human nature. You can't ever trust people, and they'll usually put it on me for saying something like that. They'll say, oh, why can't you just be trusting of others? Because that's human nature. Human nature is people work in their own best interest. There's a very small group of people that will work not in their own best interest.
Bars can't hold a force of nature.
And those people that
Stay a while and listen.
generally don't think about themselves, and they don't work for themselves, and they don't put themselves first, they all have a very specific thing in common. And you're not going to believe me when I say this. You're absolutely not going to believe me, but it'll blow your mind. So, those people are what are called humanitarians. I know people be like, oh, wow, that's so mind-blowing. Yeah, I get it. You're being cynical. Cool. I'm cynical, too. Hi. Welcome to the cynicism group. But these people are humanitarians, and they can't help it because they were born a humanitarian. Now, of course, this is going to raise the question, how do you get born a humanitarian? Well, to be perfectly honest, you have to be born on the 9th, the 18th, or the 27th. And then, of course, later in life, it has to add up to a 9. Now, you're probably wondering, what is this mumbo-jumbo? Well, it's called numerology. And the interesting part about it is it tells you exactly how you are going to act in life, within reason. Well, there's a good and bad in every number. And of course, the good and bad in every number is pretty plain to see. Now, humanitarians, you're probably thinking, how is it possible that a humanitarian is... There's a bad side to a humanitarian? Like, come on, man. How? A lot of people have asked that. And to be honest, the bad side to a humanitarian is that they're often so caring for other people that they forget about themselves. And when they forget about themselves, they put themselves in harm's way. And it's often very detrimental to the humanitarian. Like, to a degree of lethality. That's how detrimental it can be. Most of the time, humanitarians will learn that they cannot freely give of themselves without, I mean, they're legitimately making a sacrifice, and they have to come to that conclusion. And of course, the fun part is when they come to that conclusion, they realize that humanitarianism, well, idealistic, is not really realistic. And it's a horrible thing for them to come to that conclusion, because it's a very harsh conclusion. Of course, the good side is that they're humanitarian and they truly care about people. And they truly care about the well-being of others. Like I said, there's a dark side to everything. Now, I'll go through all the numbers while I'm working my way through the jail. Once I hit the inner cloister, I'm going to call this video done, and then I'm going to do the next one. So, people that were born on the 1st, the 10th, the 19th, the 28th, anybody that was born on those days is a 1. Because it adds up to 1. So, in numerology, you can only go through 1 through 9, and then once you've gotten to 1 through 9, you have certain power numbers: 11, 22, 33, and 44. Those are for your specific combined birth date total, and that's for something different. I'll get into that in a minute. Number 1s are either a leader or narcissistic. There is no in between. There is no, oh, you know, they're not narcissistic. Well, they think only about themselves. And that's a narcissist if I've ever heard it. But nevertheless, they're narcissistic to a degree. But there's no in between. They can't be partially a leader and partially narcissistic. Now, they might be what I like to call a soft narcissist. A soft narcissist looks at things as, how will this benefit me? They don't look at it like I'm all important, but they look at it from the perspective of, I will give you something and I will make this deal with you if it benefits me. See? Those are soft narcissists. And most people don't see them as narcissists, just so you know. But 1s are either leaders or narcissists. Now, if you were born on the 2nd, the 11th, the 20th, the 20th, or the, I was going to say, the 29th, because that adds up to 11. The 29th, if you're born on any of those days, you are a 2. You're also an 11. Now, people are like, well, what's the difference between a 2 and an 11? Well, let me explain. An 11 is a power number. Yes, you're a 2. But you exhibit double the traits of a 1. Because you are really, you got 1, 1 in your name. Or in your number. You have, the 11, 1, 1. So you have double dose of the 1 number, but you are essentially a 2. Now, a 2 goes one of 2 ways.
Hello.
This is truthfully it. They are either religious, and boy do they dive into the religion heavily, or they are kind of like conspiracy theorists, but more along the lines of they look at things like Sasquatch as real. And they look at things, they get really in-depth into things like, aliens and out-of-place artifacts and stuff like that. So that's their cup of tea, okay? And there is no real in-between. They go into the occult, as it would be called. Now, they could go so far as to be like Wiccan, voodoo, stuff like that. They could go that far. Now, if you're an 11, you have to watch out for this doubly. Reason being is you have the double one leading into the two. And when you have the double one leading into the two, what happens? You have that double leadership role. These people can become preachers, priests, cardinals, bishops, which doesn't sound bad. Or, if they go down the occult line, they can become, like, what was his name? Oh, not the Hale Bob Comet. Heaven's Gate. It was a Hale Bob Comet. Heaven's Gate. They could go so far as to be part of a cult and be a cult leader. Because they fervently believe in something and they have that leadership role. And so they are usually adept at convincing people and swaying their opinions to another side. Moving on, because the two, like I said, it's either cult leadership or religion, one or the other. That's not even cult leadership, it's more like occultism, aliens being real, Sasquatch, stuff like that. It's generally very innocuous. Threes. Now, people that are born on the 3rd, the 12th, the 30th, there's a one in there, the 21st, the 3rd, the 12th, the 21st, the 30th. Anybody that's born on these dates are a 3. Now, threes are an interesting lot. And the reason why they're an interesting lot is because threes are indecisive. Boy, are they indecisive. They don't know what they're doing 1 minute to the next. They don't know what they're having for food. Okay? They can't even make up their mind on something as simple as breakfast. So, the interesting part is that because they can't figure out breakfast, wow, he just got dropped hard. Hold on. So, with the 3 being indecisive, they take the longest to make up their mind. Shocking, I know. However, they also make the best educated decisions. So with the indecisiveness ends up truly being their best ally and their worst enemy. They sit there and they hem and haw over, what they should do. They're like, should I do this or should I do that? Well, they'll figure it out, but it'll take them a while. And when they do figure it out, boy, do they make the best decisions ever. Because they've spent so much time thinking it through that they've exhausted all possibilities in their mind. And as such, they've come up with a fairly cohesive list, I should say, of ideas. Well, there went all my mana. Well, I guess I'll start shooting him with a bow then. Now, those of you who are born on the 4th, and that's about it for the indecisiveness, by the way, the indecisiveness of the 3. Those of you born on the 4th, the 13th, the 22nd, the 22nd's got a connotation to it that's kind of interesting, or the 31st, you are a 4. Now, it sounds weird. You're like, oh, I'm a 4. Okay. Now, 4s are interesting.
Good morning.
Greetings.
4s are so strict and structured and regimented and stuck in the mud. It sounds bad to say stuck in the mud. It really does. But when you realize that that regimentation is what makes you... It's really what is endearing. Yes, they're unmoving, they're unwavering, but at the same time... 1 second here. Hold on. There, I sneezed that way you didn't have to hear it. Anyhow. They're unwavering. But that unwavering ability makes it so that you can rely on them, right? Because they don't bend and they don't break. They're literally like trees in the desert, you know what I mean? However, that unwavering ability, well, it is their greatest strength because they will take a very steadfast belief system. It is also their worst attribute because they never want to try anything new. These are the things that older people like me used to call fuddy-duddies or buzzkills. They just don't want to deviate from what they're doing. They're very stuck in their ways. Now, those of you who are born on the 22nd, this is where it gets a little dicey. For those of you that are born on the 22nd, you have that 4 regimentation, but you also have the double 2, which means you have the double propensity to go toward religion. And boy, do you become a religious hardliner if you do. I mean, we're talking big-time religious hardliner. Almost to the point of obsessive. Now, that can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing, because if you're a religious hardliner too hard, you will chase people away. Having said that, these are the people that end up, in some cases, being seen as, a lot of the people see them as lame, you know, because especially if they're a religious hardliner, because you know they don't ever deviate from it. They are, you know, we're gonna pray at set times, we're gonna pray at the meals, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and there's no change at all, ever. It is literally that. That is your way of life. You live, eat, and breathe it. Now, a great thing for those types of people are becoming a monk in a monastery. Becoming a Tibetan monk would be great for them, too, because of the fact that it's regimented, it's religious, it's spiritual. I'm not saying that if you are born on the 22nd that you should become a monk. Just that it suits you. Simply. Moving on to the 5s. Those of you who were born on the 5th, the 23rd, the 14th. Of course, there's no 32nd, so don't have to worry about that. You people are 5s. Now, 5s, oh boy. 5s never stop. Their mouth never stops moving. Their mind never stops moving. Their body won't stop moving. They'll keep going and going and going no matter what. And if you stop their body physically from moving by, having them come in and sit down, their mind is always working and their mouth is always running. These are the chatty people. These are the ones that'll chat with anybody, anytime, anywhere, about anything. And it's often nonsensical rubbish. But I will say this. It's not a bad thing for them to be a 5. Simply put, 5s are the guy you want, or gal you want, running your vacation. And the reason why you want them running your vacation, they're the ones that come up with the adventures. They're the ones that are like, oh man, I got this great idea for an adventure. You're coming with. You ever have those friends that like pick you up and they're just like, oh man, we're going to go do this. We're going to go try that. It's brand new. And, we've never done it before. We're going to go give it a try. Chances are they're a 5. Oh boy. Pit spawn foul dog. But yes, 5s are the ones that will take you on the greatest adventures. Because they'll just be like, hey, we're doing this. And you either go with them, or you don't. Purely up to you. If you decide not to go with them, that's cool. Ow.
Not enough mana.
Wow.
I need mana.
Ow. Got him. Admittedly, I wanted to do that a completely different way, but it's pit spawn foul dog we're talking about here. There is no other way to handle him. But yes, 5s are the ones you're going to want to adventure with. Now, because they're always on the go. You just let them come up with the idea and you just follow along on the itinerary. Now we're going to talk about the other numbers while I still have a little bit of time left. I know this is a very long video, but just please deal with me. Now the pit spawn foul dog's dead. Number 6. 6s are those that seek great harmony.
Stay a while and listen.
A 6 will... You'll be able to tell who's a 6, right? You walk into a room, and the moment a fight or an argument starts, they're the first person to stand up and walk out of the room. Because they don't like the energy. And they'll go find a place where they can be at peace and harmony with themselves. 6s tend to be introvert because they don't like other energies coming into their space. And so when you have a harmonious relationship with a 6, it's a great relationship with them because you can just sit there and kind of jive and just kind of mellow, right?
Good day.
Now, the downside of a 6 is they don't like anything, they don't like any sort of contest. They don't like any sort of, like, contestation. So they're not ones to go and see, like, a boxing match. Or they're not ones to go and take in, like baseball or football or hockey. Reason being is the energy there, while it could be seen as, like, very harmonious, there's a chance that it's also not. So they'll just tend to stay away from it. Oh, good. Ow. You're probably thinking, Quiz, before you get on to the other numbers, why do you keep summoning the ravens if they do physical damage and you can't hit the immune physicals? Simple. The answer's really simple. They blind them. Even though they can't hit them physically and do damage to them physically, they blind them. Ow. Ow. Man.
The Sisterhood welcomes you.
Greetings.
Here's the thing I wanted to avoid, was having to keep jockeying back and forth to the town. Oh, that's not good. He's right there. And he's cold enchanted. And he's dead. Nope. We're doing this old thing right here where we just run by it and say, nope. That's a big old nope for me. I guess he won't take no for an answer. Yeah, this is bad. This is bad. This is bad. This is very bad. Well, used to be back in the day, physical immunes could reflect damage upon themselves and do damage to themselves. Apparently not so anymore.
Good day.
The Order welcomes you.
He's probably got all of his life back already. Almost. That right there is exactly what I was worried about happening in Hell difficulty. Finding a mob that just is the antithesis of the setup. I've wasted 3 portals there, and we finally killed it. And all we got for it is a crappy greatsword. Great. But anyway, back to the numbers. Because I left off on 6. 7s are kind of an interesting number. And I mean this in the greatest sense of the word.
Good to see you.
Because a 7 is legitimately a 3 and a 4. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, of course it's a 3 and a 4. I can do math. Yes, but it is also legitimately a 3 and a 4. They exemplify the qualities of both a 3 and a 4. So those of you that are born on the 7th, the 16th, the 25th, or if your numbers add up to a 7, and yes, this is applicable for all numbers, that's just how it is, right? You will be one of those people that has the 3 and the 4. Indecisiveness, but at the same time strict and regimented and rigid. Yeah. However, it's not bad, because 7s are the most level-headed people. They take a long time to figure something out, and they're usually very regimented in how they figure it out. They're great at solving problems. But then they second-guess the solutions they come up with. So, it's not all bad. Now, I will explain the late life number, okay? As I know a lot of people are probably thinking, if you've made it this far and you're watching, you're probably thinking, what is this all about? Why does he keep talking about, like, late life numbers and everything? Well, I'll explain it. Numbers... Man, my mercenary's worthless. He needs to do a lot more damage to immune physical things. Anyway, late life numbers are how your life is in the later life. Okay? Your total birth number, your total birth date added up, month, day, year, is your late life number. That's how you are later in life. Your early life number, or your karmic number as it is called, is how you are in early life. Basically meaning, the day you were born. So, like, if you're born on the, 19th, being a 1. Because it adds up to 10. Because 1 and 9 is 10. And then you have to go, because it's 10, you have to do 1 plus 0 is 1. That makes you have to be a 10. So if you're born on the 19th and you're a 1, there you go. So that's your karmic number. That's how you are early in life. Which changes when you grow older and you go into your later in life. Now, there are people out there that you've met, I'm sure, because I've met them too, that when you see them, you're like, boy, you haven't changed a bit. And you say that to people. And that's because their early life number and their late life number are the same. Now, you have people out there that are born a 9 because they're born on the 9th, or they're born on the 18th, or so on and so forth, and those people then become a 1 later in life, and they say, boy, you really have changed. Well, yes, they went from being 1 to the other extreme. But Back to the numbers again. 8s. Now, I can take this on good authority. I'm an 8. In every aspect of everything, I'm an 8. I was born, and my early life number's a 9. Well, there goes my minion again, my Merc. My early life number's a 9, but my whole late life number is an 8. My name number is an 8, whether it be my name number that has, you know, my letters adding up to an 8, my vowels adding up to an 8, my consonants adding up to an 8, whatever. It's an 8. So, eights are a very specific group of people. Eights are the group that basically life hands them lemons all the time. They struggle with strife. They struggle throughout life. They also have great wealth come into their life and great wealth go out of their life. They have a lot of issues with struggles. And I'm not doing any damage to him in the firestorm. Nope. Not good. Yeah, this is doing no damage to him, see? None. So, eights deal with a lot of strife and struggle in their life. They are prone to having struggles throughout life. But they're also the number that weathers the storm. So, when something bad comes up, and they just kind of shrug their shoulders and go, oh, okay, it was Tuesday, you know? Oh, okay, it was Wednesday. Meh. That's just how an 8 is. That's how they always have been. I'm running straight to the inner cloister. Sorry. Gotta go. Too many minions that are too strong for me. The one that I couldn't even kill. But 8s are also the number of karmic balance. Karmic balance.
Hello.
So, for those, there's people out there that don't believe in karma. And let me tell you right now, karma is very real. Karma is very, very real. But it's not like you think. So, being somebody that has karmic balance, right? One side of me is good things will happen to other people that have treated me well. Or bad things will happen to other people that have treated me poorly. But there's the other sense of karmic balance. There are people that don't know what to do in life. I enter their life somehow, and I balance them out, and now they know what they're doing, and their life turns around. That karmic balance happens. I've seen it happen multiple times. And when you look with that eyesight of seeing that karmic balance happen in real time, you realize that karma is a real thing. But it is not as it's written, like what you've done in a past life will carry forward into the next life. It's not like that. But 8s are the number of karmic balance, great wealth incoming, great wealth leaving, and it's also the people coming into your life and leaving your life, like an infinity symbol. Like if you're right in the dead center of the infinity symbol, so you have the part of it that goes up like this, comes back around and goes that way, and then comes back around through this way. You're here. People come into your life, they're there for a while, and then much like a meteorite going past the planet, slingshots out and around and then comes back. That's how it is. And everything's are literally happening in cycles around you. But those are the numerology numbers. All the way up through. Now, I gotta tell you, people are gonna think that that's hokey. People are gonna say, oh, that's a bunk science. It doesn't work. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I've spent probably 7-8 years studying it. Studying how people act, react. And between 3 things, if I know somebody's birth date, if I take a look at their hands, and if I stare long enough into their eyes, I can tell you almost exactly what they're like without them uttering a word. And people think, oh, these spooky dark magic. It's not. All the answers you need are in your birth date, on your hands, on both of them actually, and in your soul. Now, the third part about staring into people's eyes, that's a me thing. Not everybody can do that. But that's for another day. This video went on for 1 hour and 16 minutes, and it was literally going from the Black Marsh to the Inner Cloister. This series is going to be a long one. I thank everybody for sticking with me. If you made it this far, awesome. I'm glad I gave you bits of knowledge here and there, and I didn't even finish the whole thing about being humble. Being humble is its greatest reward. Because no matter what happens, you look back at it and say, I'm just me. Those that resonated with me stuck around. They made me who I am. Just like with videos. When I make a video, I don't do it for the money. The money will eventually come. But I don't do it for the money. And I don't edit it. I do it for the viewer. I was gonna play the games anyway, so I might as well do it for the viewer. My next video might be a little something else. And I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute. Really? You're gonna play that? Maybe. I've contemplated playing World of Warcraft. I've played it before, but I've contemplated playing it again. This time on video. Because I like to transmog hunt. Not in retail, but in Kata. I like to do it on characters, and I like doing it in Molten Core and whatnot. Solo. I might do that. Maybe. Don't know. But at any rate, I hope everybody enjoyed this video. And I thank you for sticking with me for this long. I greatly appreciate the viewership. I greatly appreciate everybody coming in and watching. And if you leave a comment, I appreciate that too. I do respond to the comments as much as I can. I do check them every day to see if there's a new comment. And I do respond. And I appreciate it. And people say, oh, well, you're just trying to get them to feed the algorithm. No, I want people to talk. I want people to communicate with me. I want people to give me an idea or criticisms. That's it. Compliments, criticisms, doesn't matter. Feedback. Because it's in that feedback we can have that discussion. But I appreciate it. I hope everybody has a fantastic evening, a wonderful tomorrow, and as always, have a good one.